Hi guys, welcome to our review of Chapter 10, Section 3 and Chapter 10, Section 5. We haven't done 4 yet. We will get there. Just thought it'd be good to review everything we did before winter break. Okay, Chapter 10, Section 3 is on misleading graphs and stats, or what I like to call lies. Yeah, good times. Makes me happy. Okay, so with misleading graphs, remember you want to things to look for in graphs. Okay, so you want to look at the scale, which is the numbers on the sides, right? You want to make sure that it's even. And starts at 0. Okay, because remember when it's not even and it doesn't start at 0, then it's kind of like zooming in on the data and it makes things look different than they actually are. Okay, so make sure it's even and then, make sure it starts at 0. That's pretty much how to make things a little wonky in graphs. So for example, I'll show you this little one over here. Do you see how there's these two different graphs? Okay, and neither one of them actually starts at 0, but one has a very zoomed in scale. It's a much smaller scale than this one, and so this one makes it look like it's a way bigger difference than in this one. If both of them zoomed out to actually have the scale include all the way to 0, then I think neither one of them would look like they were making even a little bit of difference. Okay, so again, with statistics, you can make it say whatever you want it to say. It's just whether or not it's accurately representing the situation that's the question. Speaking of which, so this is for graphs. So for stats, the big thing to look for is outliers. Okay, looking at the outliers, if you have outliers, remember that pulls the mean. I swear that's supposed to say mean. The outliers pull the mean away from center. So you can still, like, depending on what you're trying to say, you can say, oh, sure, the average, meaning the mean is this thing, but it could be way off. So if there's outliers, the median is more accurate or more actually representative of the data. Okay, got it. Let's see. So looking at the graphs are my favorite. Nice. Okay, looking at these two graphs, it says each of the graphs below shows the distance he traveled on his bike. He wants to impress his friends with the distance he travels. Which graph should he show his friends? Which one makes it look like he traveled more? Well, this one, because it's zoomed in, notice it's counting by ones, whereas this one's counting by tens. So this one's kind of zoomed in on the data a little bit more, so it makes it look more impressive. Let's look at this one for funsies. What do you think could be the problem? What's misleading about, excuse me, about this graph? The scale's kind of the same. We start at 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30. What do you guys think? Why could it be misleading? 5, 10, 15. Oh, I didn't count it. 5, 10, 15, and then we start counting by tens. 10, 10, 10. Somebody forgot how to count by fives. A little bit. Okay, there it is. And now let's practice down here. The scores Emily received on her math tests, 80, 90, 85, 100, and 84. Why might it be misleading for Emily to say that most of the time she receives a score of 100? Which number did she use by saying she mostly scored 100? She's actually using the mode, right? The mode really isn't that useful of a piece of information, though she definitely did score 100 more than she'd scored other things, but it probably should be taken into account that she got at least 180 and 185. Anyway, see what I'm saying? So it's misleading because really the mode doesn't really tell us good information. Anyway, so that's the situation on that one. Okay, and so on your assignment, I didn't bring that paper over. You'll just kind of go through and decide whether graphs are, or what might be misleading about a graph or some statistics, okay? But basically you're looking at this, let's put in, so we've got mean, median, mode, isn't very useful. Cool. All right, so that's chapter 10, section 3. Chapter 10, section 5, this was choosing a display. Okay, so we're gonna write down that chart again real quick. Just to help us remember, I'm just gonna do the key word for each type of graph, okay? So, bar graph and a double bar graph. Keyword there is categories, if I could spell. Categories. Okay. Shows the numbers of items in specific. So remember, categories, that's our nouns. So if we have subjects, if we have flavors, if we have any of that stuff, those are categories. Okay, box plot. Though that's shows variation and good for big sets of data. Okay, and tomorrow we're actually gonna review box plots and how to use them and all that stuff. Circle graph. I don't know why they decided they wanted to change the name. Everybody else calls these pie charts. Okay, and the key to that one is percents. We're comparing part to the whole, or if they use the word percent. Okay, double bar graph just means there's 2 bars for each category. Histogram. Okay, histogram, keyword for that is range or interval. Okay, and then line graph. Line graph, this is over time. So if it mentions time in any way, hours, minutes, days, years, seconds, whatever, you're gonna wanna put it in a line graph. And then a line plot, which is weird because everybody else calls them dot plot, which is much more fun to say. Okay, line plot or dot plot is frequency on a number line. So obviously your data has to be a number to use that one. And then, and the problems you'll have to do for this is that it just describes a set of data and you pick which graph you'd use, and it says justify your reasoning, and you write down that Q word because that's your justification for your reasoning. Okay, so let's look at a couple of these just for practicing's sake. Okay, the resale value of a person's car over time. Boop, 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 boop. What do we do for time? Time means we're going to do a line graph. Whoop, boop, boop, boop. There we go. Okay, Percent of people, I'm not even going to read more because that's going to be a circle graph or pie chart. Number of different colored cars at a dealership. Colored cars, that's categories. That is our bar graph. Okay, and then I actually like this question because it says, hey, look, we've got information in a pie chart. Could we also, how else could we display it? And I like this idea because you don't actually have to use one type of data, right? Okay, so if we're looking at, like, I could see we could take each of the Great Lakes, and that could be a category, so we could have a bar graph. And then you just get to decide which one is more appropriate. Which one do you think is better? Okay. And then these two are awesome. Okay. What are you thinking on this one? I'm thinking these are categories, therefore bar graph feels real good for that one. And then looking at this, you can see this is ranges. Ranges and intervals. That means we're going to use a histogram. Got it? And that's literally it. You just have to, what kind of graph you would use and the keyword why. All right, good luck.